Stand by for ludicrous speed.
Okay, my people Saunders.
Gregory.
Eagle looking great. Your go. Greg Saunders.
Greg Saunders.
Greg Saunders!
Wow. Hey, great.
We interrupt this sound file to bring you a terrifying announcement.
Are you aware that you're leaking coolant at an alarming rate?
Show us the skills that have made you a media darling.
Well, I'm glad we got all that out in the open.
Ladies and gentlemen,
This is the Saturday morning Stateline show.
Oh, turn that off. No, turn that off. No, turn that. I don't know. Sometimes I know what I'm doing. Sometimes I don't. I do know this though. Cutting up sandpaper, probably the closest thing to playing rock, paper, scissors all by yourself. My name is Greg. He's Tom. It's the Saturday morning Stateline show. How you doing, buddy? Oh, it'd probably help if I unmuted you. Oh, you got to unmute you. I unmuted you. You got to unmute you.
Oh, there we go.
That's how it works.
That was pretty good. I like that.
There we go.
So if you want to make a joke out of it, just simply say, I couldn't find anybody to play rock, paper, scissors with, so I just cut sandpaper.
I just cut some sandpaper.
Right?
That's all I did. Just chopped it up.
That's right.
Does that help the
right.
scissors, or does that hurt the
That's right.
scissors?
I don't know. You would think it would sharpen them or it would keep them sharp. I don't know.
Depends on the
I
sandpaper,
don't know.
probably.
Maybe you have to cut aluminum foil. Yeah, exactly.
I know there's some scissors that says don't use these to cut paper. They're only made for fabric, and others say they're only cut fabric with these scissors. Don't cut paper. That seems pretty specific. I don't know. What's today? It's the 9th day of January, the year 2020, the latest it's ever been.
In the history of mankind.
as we take our drink.
That's right. I figured I'd time that just perfectly.
That's a dramatic pause. We're live on Facebook. At least it looks like we're live on Facebook. Hopefully our audio situation's been figured out a little bit better. I know our last couple shows.
I'm hoping that my audio isn't overpowering because it was last week.
Right.
How does it sound to you?
It sounds good to me. And let's see, if I use my headphones, I hear myself clearly. How about you?
Yeah, everything's fine. I got my handy dandy little $5 headphones. They seem to work.
I don't know. It probably would sound a little better. Would it sound a little bit better if I undid this other speaker? If I undo the other speaker and just go with the headphones, does it sound a little bit different? Probably a little bit.
Nope, sounds fine to me.
Okay. All right. Well, maybe it's time for me.
Maybe you're a little. Maybe you're a tad louder, and that's a good thing, probably.
Okay. Because I have studio monitors in my studio, and normally what I've been doing is I'll unplug one of the speakers because there's two, and then just sit here without having to wear headphones, which is okay if it works, but if it's not going to work, got to do something else. So, let's see. Click. We have special guest Tasha Ives joining us today. Really looking forward to chatting with her. She's in Nashville, Tennessee.
Absolutely.
In Rockford, and her story has been told. Her family's story has been told quite a bit over the last decade, and I want to catch up with her and see how things are for her and her husband Dean in Nashville. So we'll chat with her in a little bit. I want to say big congratulations to Dave and Maggie today. They closed on their first house this week, a beautiful house in Rockford. They are so excited, very excited for them. And as I've been talking the last, 2 years, but it's even more so now, housing inventory is crazy low. I thought it was low 2 years ago, and it was. I thought it was low last year, and it really was. Now we're just, it's really kind of nuts. And I understand some people just don't want to move because they're still very highly being careful with the whole virus situation. I think that's starting to come around a little bit better now. But we have people moving back to Rockford from southern states because they don't care for year-round summer. You know, I was chatting with someone this week.
Yeah, and there are times, especially. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I got a lady right now who's like, Greg, I can't live through one more Arizona summer. I want to come home. So that's her plan, is to come home.
Well, okay, I understand that. 110 degrees in the shade. And yeah, it's a dry heat, but who cares? It's 110. I like the four seasons.
Me too.
But long about now, when I see snow piled up to God knows what, I'm really thinking, I would love to be in San Diego. I would love to be in Arizona, Texas, Florida, anywhere.
Yeah.
Anywhere. I just want warmth.
I was
I
showing
don't want to scrape my windows. I don't want to get into a cold car in the morning. Have to. Go ahead.
Right. I was showing my grandsons on video the rime frost that we had this week, which was incredible. I don't think I've ever experienced frost last that long. You know, the thickness.
What'd you call it?
I've heard it called
rime frost.
Yeah, I've heard it called hoarfrost. HOAR. Hoarfrost. I think hoarfrost. And then they were calling it rime frost, which was funny because here's the definitions I heard. One said, when the moisture in the air goes from a vapor to ice without becoming liquid first, that's called hoarfrost. And if the vapor in the air doesn't become liquid first before becoming ice, then that's called rime frost. I was like, wait a minute, you said the same thing twice. It's basically skipping a step.
It's kind of an unfortunate name. Anyway, I saw it on my phone. It said freezing fog.
Freezing fog.
Okay, so I came up with this. The shortened name, if it's a portmanteau, taking the two words and putting them together, would simply be frog, as in what hops, frog. So the song Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, then one froggy Christmas Eve, Santa came to say, you know.
And then you'd see Rudolph completely covered with rime frost.
How prophetic was that? That's right. We won't mention the other one. That's an unfortunate name.
Well, it was beautiful, and it lasted basically 3 days, which is incredible. Usually, anytime we get frost on tree limbs and stuff like that, it might last a day. It sometimes doesn't even last a full day. It's it's in the morning and then it's gone by afternoon. This hung around 3 days, and it got thicker.
Yeah, but we've had no sunshine since. We've had no sunshine since December 24th.
Crazy.
Not one sunny day.
Absolutely nuts.
This is kind of crazy, and I don't mind it so much. It's the really, really freezing bitter cold. So far, this here, what you see me wearing, is basically my winter jacket. It's a sweater. Pick any one of my 30 sweaters. That's my winter jacket. I have not put a jacket on yet this year.
I've been wearing.
Granted, I'm not out in the elements either.
Well, when the first big snow changed over to freezing rain, and I was out shoveling and stuff as it was changing over, so my winter coat got really wet. It really got wet, and I was sure glad I was wearing it. I almost went back to my Jeep and pulled out the rain parka because it was so crazy wet and cold. But hey, it looks like we're joining with Tasha this morning, and good morning to you, Tasha. Or let me see. You can there you go. Now you're unmuted.
Yep, she's unmuted. Yep.
Good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Tasha. How are you?
I'm good. I still am in Christmas mode. If you haven't noticed, I'm holding on to Christmas lights for as long as possible.
That's fair. We just took ours down. Yeah. We just took ours down this week on Thursday, I think it was. But there's been years we've left it up pretty much all through January.
I need the happy place of the lights, and I think the tree may come down potentially this afternoon, but I'll show you. I still got like lights on my mantle.
Yeah.
Those stay there all year round. So I'll figure out a way to still make it kind of warm and cozy and bright in here.
Nice white lights on your mantle. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a year-round thing. Absolutely. Why not?
I think so.
Well,
I've got the exact same thing. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead. You're right.
Well, I was going to say I have the same thing on. We have 2 rooms that we took the wall out, so it's one big giant room, and we got a faux beam that goes across the whole thing. We've got the lights on there all year round, and those are the white lights too. They're really effective, especially at night when you don't want to have a whole lot of light on. You're watching a TV show. Pop those on, and it really, really does create a mood, I guess.
It like warms my soul, I think, is what it is. It just
Absolutely
warms my soul. So yeah, it's good to see your faces.
Good to see you too. And you've been in Nashville now how many years now? 3-4 years?
5.
5 already?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So 2020 was 5 years. So we're moving into our 6th year now.
Wow. Time. I was just thinking this morning, Tosh, how long ago it was that we served together at the Welcome Center at City First.
Yeah.
Rockford First, however many names you want to call our church.
Yeah, exactly.
That just seems like a lifetime ago now already.
I know. I think something came up on my time hop of a picture. We were in the Welcome Center and Dean had like a wolf shirt on. Do you remember that?
Yes.
I think you were in the picture and Dean's wearing like a wolf t-shirt. And I'm like, what in the world are you wearing? It was like one of those, retro wolf t-shirts.
Wasn't it like the full shirt was like a wolf face? It was
yeah.
Yes, I do
Absolutely.
remember that.
Yeah, so that just popped up on my time hop. I know it blows my mind that, it feels like forever ago that we lived there. I mean, Rockford's always home. But this is starting to feel like home too. And I have people tell me they hear a little bit of it in, when I'm talking now, which, but people down here, they're like, you're from Chicago, aren't you? So everybody, I don't fit in anywhere these days.
Well, I know you better than that. You fit in pretty much everywhere. You are a get along kind of a person. So,
well, I try. Dean may say otherwise. My husband may say otherwise. I'm a get along kind of person, but with everybody else, I try.
All right. That's fair. We're going to get into your story just a little bit here. Before we go too far though, we have a big number of the week that we do every week. So have some fun and give Tom and Joann a chance to win some bragging rights. You know what I found this week, Tom? I cleaned out my Jeep and found like 4 more t-shirts. Saturday morning Stateline show t-shirts. So we may have to give those away eventually, but not this week. Can you hear me okay? Did I lose you?
What's that?
There we go.
No, you're really cutting out.
I'm cutting
You're really cutting out. It's freezing up. Yeah.
You know what?
I'm hearing you just fine though. You're
yeah,
not
see,
freezing up on my end.
it's probably on my end because both of you are cutting out and freezing up.
Bummer. Well, the interwebs are doing funny things in the last 24 hours. Our big number of the week this week, friends, is 2 billion with a B, 2 billion. And the answer this week is Juices or Joe Rogan. Juices or Joe Rogan. Place your guesses now. We'll tell you the answer by the end of the show. And for those keeping score at home, don't have to keep score at home. I'm keeping it score here. Joanne's got 4. Tom's got 2.
Tell me the point
thanks.
of this.
Well, it gives us something to talk about.
But like that number
started out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Within the story, I have 2 stories.
We have to guess which number he's talking about. It all started out about I don't know, 6-7 years ago when we started all this. Can you hear me?
Yep.
Yes.
And then he just froze up.
Bad
Yes.
connection for me.
I'm hardwired in my studio, so the Wi-Fi situation shouldn't mess me up. But then again, if there's a little trip in the atmosphere, who knows what's going to happen?
You're not frozen.
Okay.
You're not. And
Well, so every week I have a big number of the week, and the number is tied to one of 2 stories. One story this week has to do something to do with juices, and the other story has a little something to do with Joe Rogan, and one of them includes the number 2 billion. So, anywho, We'll give you the answer before the end of the show, which will wrap up usually before 9. We'll give the answer before 9 if you're watching us live. And well, thank those who are tuning in on YouTube live today. We did Facebook Live for most of 2020, and that was fun. That was nice. I thought it would feel more like an upgrade to go to YouTube Live. It seems more like a sidestep. I'm not sure it's an upgrade, but it is what it is. We'd like to know if we see some more subscribers. We're getting a few more subscribers on our YouTube page, and you click the like button, you click the subscribe button. If you want notifications, you click the little bell at the top, and it'll tell you when we're going live, just to remind you in case you forgot, stuff like that. So there you go. We'll see how it goes today. So the reason we wanted to have you on specifically, Tasha, is when it's been over 11 years now since Sydney, your daughter, passed away.
Yeah.
And
yep.
when
November was 11 years.
You started a foundation. You were motivated to start this for a lot of different reasons, I'm sure, but obviously the legacy of Sydney and the way she lived out her last days was very, very impressive to a whole lot of people. And it tugged at a lot of people's heartstrings, and you're still doing things to support St. Jude's, from what I understand. So I just want to kind of catch up with you from the start, maybe tell people what happened to Sydney and then what happened once you started the foundation.
Sure. It was, we're coming up on 13 years ago that Sid was first diagnosed in May of 2008. After what we thought were just kind of separate explainable symptoms, things that wouldn't have made you think of a brain tumor in any way, shape, or form. And so long story short, we found out that it was an inoperable brain tumor, and it was grade 3. So it was terminal at diagnosis. She was 9.5 at the time. And so after a series, that was at UW-Madison, so we were living in Rockford at the time. And after a series of phone calls and a few exchanges with Dr. Baptist, I always love to give Dr. Baptist a shout out there in Rockford. I still stay in touch with him on a regular basis just because he's family to us now. But he was able to get Sydney accepted on a trial protocol at St. Jude. So the end of May, beginning of June, we took off and moved to Memphis to live there for about 3 or 4 months while Sydney had full brain radiation and was a part of this trial protocol there. And after that took place, after that initial period of time, we came home and we'd fly back every 3 months or so to have follow-up scans. And it was at the year mark, coming back for a year, regularly scheduled follow-up, that they saw that her tumor had grown and had spread and was now in her thalamus, from her thalamus to her brainstem. And at that time, they gave her 6 weeks to live at that point. And Sydney lived 6 months to the day of that 6-week prognosis. That was May 7th of 2009 that they gave us that information. And Sydney passed away on November 7th of 2009. And we lived a lot of life in those last 6 months of her life. And as you were saying, she let me, through her whole journey, let me share that with the world. For me, it was kind of like just writing what was on my heart, almost like a diary. And I just needed that because it was therapy for me, and everyone else seemed to get something from it, and just really was inspired people around the world, literally around the world, just came to know our daughter. And when she died, it still happens. Like 11 years later, we're sitting here and people are like, "Oh, you're Sydney's mom," and they had no idea who she was when she was alive. But through different various things that we do, they've learned about her, and they're still inspired and really brought closer to Jesus through her journey. She
Definitely, according to a lot of your words and the stuff that you shared, she grieved, but in a way that was very inspiring. Just knowing the end was near, and yet focusing on what was truly important.
Yeah. Yes. She definitely just wanted to be with family. And she also was very looking forward to going to heaven. So I think she had gotten a glimpse of what was awaiting her and kind of gave me those eyes, like with a smile, told me she was ready to go whenever God wanted her. And so that obviously, was still horrible to lose her, but to know where she is, we haven't lost her. We know exactly where she is. We've lost her from our presence, but to know that she was ready to go was helpful for us, helped comfort us. Hey, I see that logo there.
I'm going to see if I can put that logo up here for you real quick and put that on my screen. Sometimes this works well and sometimes it's really goofy, but Love You More, Sydney Ives Foundation logo. The stuff that you blogged and shared, when I go to your Ives Strong website, ivestrong.wixsite.com, it's still active. The site itself is still active.
Yeah.
There's not a lot on the site itself anymore. So I'm curious where you are at with that.
So we're kind of regrowing and rebranding. If someone really wants to read what I blogged like in real time, that is still up on CaringBridge. So if you go to caringbridge.org and you type in Sydney Ives, you're going to find our whole story. So if you just type, because CaringBridge was the thing, it still is an amazing tool for people to use if they don't want it on, Facebook. They don't want it on social media. They want it a little more protected. So everything that I've ever written up until, shortly after Sydney passed away is there in CaringBridge. As we I'm working on a book and some different things. And as we do that, some of our websites are kind of being updated and how we're going to make that look. So that's kind of all new and happening. But I think there is potentially a link to the CaringBridge site on that website, but I'll know for sure. But yeah, if you wanted to read any of that, find me on Facebook as well, or Instagram. I talk about it all the time. But those initial journal entries that I wrote all the time, you can find on CaringBridge.
Okay. Please feel free to put that link in the comments so people can find it easily.
Okay.
I know that's one of the things that a lot of people will be interested in looking at, and when you've done all of this sharing of this information throughout the years, you've kind of gotten to the point where I understand you've put together a book. Yeah.
So okay, I can't type and talk at the same time. So yeah. So we absolved the Sydney Ives Foundation after 7 years of doing that. We felt like that season of helping other families was what it was supposed to be. We were able to help countless families. We gave away about $90,000 to different families. It was just money in their hands. They would get $1,000 check every month for a year, just to pay expenses or make a memory with their family. And then we shifted that 7 years ago. I was just kind of tired of running a nonprofit, and we shifted our efforts to everything that we do at St. Jude. So we're normally there about every 5 or 6 weeks when we're not in a pandemic. We haven't been there since last February. So we're getting excited hopeful about being back on campus this year and doing the things that we do there. But in all of these little different things, I've often had people ask me, do you have a book? Do you have resources? And like I said, writing was my therapy. And Greg, you'll remember back in 1993, I was in a car accident and I was driving, and my very best friend, Christy Wright, was killed in that car accident. And I started writing then, and I had a whole book about Christy that I wrote. And then through this process with Sydney, I was writing about Sydney and had this whole manuscript put together, but I couldn't quite make it feel like what I wanted it to be. And I just kind of kept stalling. And finally, one day I just felt like God was saying, you're writing the wrong story. You need to tell your story, and your story involves Christy and it involves Sydney, but it's all about just the different grief that you've walked through your life and how you have overcome it through me, through Christ. And so that's what I decided to write. So what I have as a working manuscript right now is called So Far, My Journey Through Grief and Beyond. And it just, from my earliest memory of grief and how I feel that God was weaving death and dying and loss through my life to equip me for what was going to happen later in life, that I could work as a bereavement coordinator, and that I would be able to, at a hospice, that I would be able to work at St. Jude and help teach doctors and staff, like doctors from around the world, how to have hard conversations and to, deliver bad news. All of those things that kind of made up my life are preparing me for the something good that he was wanting me to do. So that book is completed. We fished it out to just another God thing. We live in Nashville. Everybody here knows publishers from everywhere. I meet 5 of them when I walk into church. So one publisher that a friend said I want to pass it along to, they're like, we're going to take a pass at right now, but it's in the hands of about 4 or 5 other people right now. So hopefully we'll have that in book form soon, so I can start sharing that. For whatever reason, people feel that I can connect with them on that. And if I can give some hope, say, hey, 11 years out, we're surviving and we're healing and trying to shine a light, maybe there's hope for other people out there too.
Yeah. Yeah. The temporary nature of this life we live is so hard to grasp for so many of us, and being able to, I like how you say, teaching doctors to deliver bad news, because they are just the messenger. They're not, they don't have any ill will toward anybody. It's not, nobody ever wants to have to tell someone that someone they love is terminal and has 6 weeks to live. I mean, that's not something anyone wants to deliver. That's not a message anyone wants to deliver, but you also don't want to hide from truth.
Right.
And so when someone has a terminal diagnosis, what do you do from there? And obviously with your experience in hospice and with Sydney and the crash with Christy and everything, you've been through some pretty traumatic situations that everyone goes through in different varying degrees. But your willingness to share it is pretty awesome. And we commend you for that. And thank you for being brave enough to stand up. And it is the power of our individual testimony that does help individual lives. So I think that was very wise advice that someone gave you about telling your story.
Right.
Rather than just focusing on.
Well, that was God that gave me that advice. I literally was like, he was like, you're telling the wrong story. So it would be very wise advice, I suppose, if it came from him.
That's awesome. Well, caringbridge.org is that place where you can go and you can find a lot of the stuff that Tasha was talking about. Before we let you go, and you're able to stick around if you want to, as long as you like, but sure. Tom, did you have anything to add before we wrap things up with Tosh?
Other than the fact that you're such an inspiration. I know several people who have gone through similar situations. One of my friend's mom, well, his nephew, her grandson, was killed in a car accident a couple of years ago. She's still really, really struggling with it. So when your book does come out, I'm going to get a copy and I'm going to give it to her, because she could use this type of healing. This is an incredible thing. I don't know why why bad things happen to good people. We know it happens. And I think you were probably the perfect person to be able to handle this. God knew that, not that he did anything, but I don't even know how I'm trying to say this, but I think you're an inspiration to a lot of people because of what you've been through, because of what you've learned, because of your demeanor and your personality and the way you can accept this and then move forward. That's the true healing that people truly, truly need. And you are definitely an inspiration.
Well,
and I hope you heard all that, because my connection's really bad.
I could hear you. Thank you so much. I just feel there's a verse in one of the Corinthians. My brain is blanking at the moment, but it says he comforts us so that we can comfort others who are also going through affliction. And I think that that's the job of every human being, because every human being has walked through hardship. Now, I mean, this past year looks like hardship to so many people in different ways. And we've all walked through it so that we can go comfort someone else who's walked through something similar.
Absolutely.
And one other thing, Greg, you both kind of alluded to this a little while ago. This life we have, I like to use the analogy of take a salt shaker and just pour out a whole bunch of salt. Count those grains of salt. There's trillions. You couldn't count them in one lifetime. That's how insignificant a human life is on this earth in terms of the bigness of it all. Heaven is what it's really truly about. Yeah, we're here for 20 years, 30, 50, 70, even 100 years. It's still minute. It's still insignificant. I love the fact that you said Sydney is waiting for you in heaven. I know she is. You know she is. My brother passed away last January. He's in heaven, and I can't wait to see him. And, you know, and it's so comforting to know that that's where they are. When you know that you know that you know, it is an amazing feeling. So God bless. I mean, this is so great. And, you know, not that I want you to die, but I can't wait till you get a reunion with your daughter.
I can't wait either. I feel every day is a day closer.
Yep.
Thanks for carving out time for us, Tasha. And as I said, you're definitely welcome to stick around and join us. The Love You More Foundation website's still there. When you go to it, you can click on to donate to St. Jude and the children's home, which is based in Memphis. I'm sorry, is it? Yeah,
it's based in Memphis. So yeah, we're there about every 5 or 6 weeks. Normally we head over from Nashville, couple 3-hour drive. And yeah, it's there based in Nashville, but everything that they do is, once it's FDA approved, is freely shared with any hospital around the world. Yeah. So other people, even adults, are benefiting from what they do there. And just real quick, Greg, if people want to just like follow easily without drama, or I don't do social media drama for the most part. I think Greg knows that. I kind of stay away from it, but follow me on Instagram. It's just at Tasha Ives if people want to follow along to see maybe updates about the book and so forth.
Awesome. Follow at Tasha Ives on Instagram. So thank you so much for hanging out. We got some news to share here today. So let's get into our, how does that look? Does that give you some Rockford vibes?
Yes, the symbol, there it is.
Yeah, that you miss it, don't you?
Yeah. This week,
you know, they got one in Seattle. It looks just like it.
It's pretty much.
And this guy has made billions of dollars off of taking a bunch of junk, painting it orange, and slapping it in a park. It's amazing. Good work if you can get it.
Good for him. I think it's cool.
That's right.
So I'm going to go ahead and cut off the music because apparently that's going to do some goofy things, and I don't want to do goofy things. I want to make sure we can hear what we're talking about. Over the holiday season, the Rockford Ice Hogs, American Hockey League affiliate, AHL, affiliate of the Chicago Blackhawks of the National Hockey League. The Ice Hogs collected over 1,690 stuffed toys and over 7 full bins of winter clothing donations during their team's drive-through teddy bear toss presented by Lawn Care by Walter. This is what they normally do inside the BMO Harris Bank Center during a game. Of course, they couldn't do that this last season, so they did a drive-through thing and collected all this stuff. Over the years, the Ice Hogs have generated over 44,000 stuffed animals through this event, and they've all been donated to local organizations, including the Rock House Kids, which received a great big bin full of stuffed animals to share with their kids as well. So kudos to the Ice Hogs and the Blackhawks. Rockford aldermen this week passed a new ordinance aimed at keeping local-based workers in Rockford. City of Rockford Legal Director Nicholas Meyer says the ordinance will give companies from Winnebago, Boone, Stevenson, and Ogle counties a better chance of being awarded city contracts, because in the past, city work had been awarded to the lowest qualified bidder, regardless of where the company was located. But now with the new ordinance, local contractors can opt in to something they're referring to as a downward adjustment of 5% when they submit a bid to the city. So it's giving some home field advantage, if you will, some home team advantage to our local companies. And we'll see how that works. The Rockford Police Department, they announced their holiday enforcement campaign that happened from December 18th to January 4th resulted in 152 citations. 67 of those were for speeding, and none of them were for DUI. I thought that was kind of interesting and good news. People being more careful about Ubering or having a designated
Well,
driver.
the bars are all closed,
That's true too. The bars were all closed.
right?
But there was a lot of house parties going on.
For the most part.
Yeah. So anywho, that was
Yeah.
So those are our Rockford stories I wanted to share this week. There is kind of an embarrassing fact about our country. In all 50 states, there are more disclosure requirements to get a library card than to start a new LLC, a new business. But things are about to change. As a part of the new defense bill, anti-money laundering rules will have stricter disclosure requirements, including naming true owners. That's the important part. Naming true owners, not just the people, AKA attorneys, who are signing the papers. According to the Wall Street Journal, required ownership disclosures will prevent terror groups and drug cartels and other bad actors. The U.S. Treasury Department will outline the exact measures here over the next year. Hopefully they stick to this and it doesn't change with the new administration. But yeah, when you have a business started and if you don't tell who the real owners are, a lot of shady stuff happens. So here's hoping that this helps relieve some of that shenanigans that has gone on over the years. Have you heard about Seaborg? Seaborg. Seaborg is a Danish startup company, and they're putting nuclear plants on boats. This could sound scary, I know, but check this out. A team of PhDs, a team of engineers, they've got about $24 million in funding, and they've passed the first bunch of regulatory hurdles. They could be powering coastal cities by the year 2025. They use a nuclear technology known as molten salt reactors, MSRs, molten salt reactors. And this type of reactor is able to operate at lower temperatures, so it reduces the risk of explosion compared to a lot of other reactors in operation today. This whole research, the key ingredient that is used in it is not something that can be used to make bombs. So it's a different kind of nuclear technology. It's not nuclear bomb technology. It's cheaper to build. It's more efficient. It does not melt down. The waste from it can potentially be used as fuel for other things, and it can supply heat and clean water to homes. This is what kind of blew me away when I saw this. This isn't part of our big number of the week, but it could have been. Seaborg's nuclear barges could potentially power about 200,000 homes. They could last for about 20 or more years and be a source for potential energy for nearly 1 billion people. So they're looking at this for sub-Saharan Africa, South Asia, these areas that just don't have power. Nuclear generates about 1.5% of the CO2 of coal, requires less than 10% of the raw materials for wind and hydro and solar farms to build. And this could be a really awesome thing in the future of powering cities. Seaborg, Seaborg, a Danish startup company. I thought that was incredibly interesting. And here's a bunch of randoms to think about this week. Research shows you feel younger. If you feel younger than your actual age, you'll live longer. That just kind of makes sense, I think. Tesla, the electric car manufacturer, just about hit its 500,000 car delivery target for the year 2020. That's a 35% increase from 2019. Oh yeah, by the way, Elon Musk is now the richest, more wealthy than Jeff Bezos, because his stock went from, what was it, 50 something at the beginning of last year to 800 something. So yeah, he's a multi-billionaire now. The Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, the OCC, a bank regulating bureau within the Treasury Department, they've issued guidance saying banks may now adopt certain blockchain technologies. So if you're banking with a bank that's into blockchain, you may have that opportunity or that option soon. If you invested in the S&P 500 January 1st of 2020 and you just fell asleep for the entire year, you'd have woke up on December 31st with a 16.3% gain. Huge gains, huge gains, huge, biggest ever. And Robinhood the popular trading, I shouldn't do that. I know. Sorry. Robinhood, the popular trading app, which I've talked about quite a bit on this show too. It's valued at about $11.7 billion. I am one of if it's 13 plus million users, they're considering selling some of its IPO shares directly to its users on its app. If you are not yet using the Robinhood app, I highly encourage you to check it out, download it, play around with it, invest a few bucks, do something just to, with your funny money and see what you can do with it. And when Robinhood offers its shares coming up here, probably later this year, buy some. I think it's a good investment. But I'm not an investment person. I'm not a professional investor. So don't take my advice, but take my advice. But don't take my advice. Here's something that Tom may or may not believe. GM outsold Ford in trucks for the first time since 2015. 2020, GM sold more trucks than Ford.
I have absolutely no comment on that because it doesn't surprise me. No. I wouldn't think it would. I wouldn't think it wouldn't.
Does that include SUVs? Because I could see how a GM SUV would sell more than a truck. I'm gonna
guess it.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Because Ford, the F-150, the most popular pickup truck ever built. I mean, they're all over the world.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, last year, somehow, some way, GM outsold Ford in trucks for the first time in over 5 years. And 84% of us eat our sandwich with the crust on, the rest crust off. How do you eat your sandwich? Crust on or crust off?
Crust on.
On. It's the best part.
Yeah, I leave.
Oh, absolutely.
I like the crust on. Okay, and now for the truly dividing question. Diagonal cuts, horizontal cuts, or no cuts? How do you cut your square, regular, generic American sandwich? Diagonal, horizontal, or not at all?
Diagonal.
Diagonal too, only because when you get it at the restaurant, they cut it diagonally. So, but I don't usually cut it. I just eat the whole thing. Two hands, eat it, 4 bites, done.
The go-to meal for this kid. Big glass of chocolate milk, and a double-decker PB&J. And
That's Carson.
Yeah.
And if I'm really being fancy, slightly toasted outside bread parts and not toasted inside bread.
Yep.
It's the gourmet.
That's my son. That's Carson. That's what he eats every day, if possible.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Of course, he's 19.
He's 19 now already. Holy cow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, buddy, that's your randoms for this week. I hope you got something out of it. The last question I was going to ask, which Tasha already answered online for me. Do you know when your significant other is hangry? Hangry is a real thing. Research says hangry is a real thing. The lower your blood sugar gets, the less fuel your brain has to function. And of course, your critical brain tasks like breathing and seeing and stuff, that's fine. But the more complex things, trying to diffuse a stressful situation, that can be a problem. You know when your significant other's getting hangry?
There's a small window.
Yeah, I think I caught most of that. You're breaking up again. But again, I think it's on my end. Do I know when my significant other is getting angry? Yeah, when a shoe comes flying across the room.
No, Tom, hangry. With an H. Hangry.
Oh, hangry. Okay, I did miss something. When a shoe comes flying across the room. Same rule applies.
I can too, but my significant other is directly above me right now in the kitchen, and I don't want to start hearing thumping on the floor, so I'm not going to say too much.
Yeah.
Other than
my significant other definitely knows when I'm hangry. I mean, probably more so.
Have a Snickers bar.
Yes.
I'm probably a poor spouse when it comes to that thing. It's like, okay, wait a minute. I should be more quick to find that source of sustenance rather than just kind of vacating the area, which I normally do. It's like, okay, I'm going to go find something else to do for a while. If I hear a thump, I'll know you fell down and I'll come take care of you.
Funny.
Good morning, Joann Stewart.
Good morning. We're a little barky today.
Little Barky, it's absolutely acceptable at Paws HQ.
But we have 4 new dogs, and there's a male German Shepherd who wants some attention. A young, I think he's about 1.5 years. You can, if you can't hear him, I don't know how you can't.
He could be hangry, yes.
He might be angry.
Yes.
Very possible.
My son had a girlfriend like that, and if she even said she was hungry, my son would get like really stressed, like, we gotta find food, because she got bad.
Okay.
Well, before we get too far, before I forget, our dad joke with Bill this week is, hey, guys, I ate a kid's meal. I admit it. I ate a kid's meal at McDonald's today. His mom got really angry, but so don't take kids' meals from other kids.
Yeah.
Are you?
You can order them for yourself, and it's a much better deal too. Just get the double fries if you don't want the apple slices. It's really good.
I like that one, Bill. I also like this one this week. Bill says, I bought a dog from a blacksmith. 10 minutes after I got him home, he made a bolt for the front door. All right. Let that sink in a little bit. Blacksmith dog.
Okay.
Made a bolt.
Yeah.
Okay.
Bolt for the front door.
Do you want to give us a walkthrough tour today, Joann, or do we just want to chat today? What's on your mind?
Oh, we can do a walkthrough tour. Are you up for that?
I'm up for that. If you're up for that, Paws HQ. Actually, I should say Paws.
And I can show you the new dogs.
PawsHS.org, the website for
This
Paws.
is Yasmin, one of our one of our board members. She works with some of the behavior problems with our dogs. She's done some training. So this is Catherine, and we're not really sure of her breed. I can't even say that though.
Feisty.
Feist mix. I didn't know if that was a real breed.
Never heard
Or
of it.
you're just giving me the Feist mix. I'd have to look that up. And here's our noisy one. I don't know if you can see through the cage. It's a German Shepherd, young German Shepherd. Brian. And then we have another one back here. I'd have to ask again. Yasmin, where'd they come from?
Arkansas dogs. Ready to start
So
over?
those are the 3 new dogs we have. I think there's a 4th, but I couldn't find it. This is, again, Carlos, who is deaf. Oh, I want to show you one up here. This is an interesting one. This is just a ball of hair.
Hello, kitty.
This is Ember. She looks like she's got a lot of hair to share.
Ready for a brushing.
I don't see a cat in here. So I'm hiding up high. They seem. What's the dog's name? Buttercup. There's Buttercup gonna go for a walk with Yasmin. That's Brian. Do we know any Brians that we can blame? So that's just a quick run through. Here's a couple of kittens. Those are adorable.
There we go.
Sweet little, I think is it both boys? 2 little boys.
Okay.
Oh my gosh, they're adorable. We seem to be hiding today. I don't know. This one's got her ears back.
Already
There's
fed
2 in there too.
Oh, it's like my Barney.
Bustalo, they always Folger and Bustalo. I don't know the meaning of that one. Another came up to see. This is Jonesy.
Wow. Looks like she's on the prowl.
Oh, Jonesy.
Jonesy, he thought I had some food. Wait a minute, didn't you have food?
Ready for some attention.
Oh my goodness, he's not a happy one. He's got
He's angry.
that angry voice. That's about. Oh, and then Clarice, I made her the pet of the week. Again, she's one of our longest residents, so
Okay.
just want to talk about her again.
So we'll get
This is
Clarice
TJ.
on the Facebook page today.
So kind of a quick run around of the shelter. I already forgot what that other dog's name was. Buttercup.
Well, nice tour of the facility as always. And for those who are looking for a pet, it's time to check out Paws. PawsHS.org. Give them a call, 815-299-PAWS, 815-299-72.
And we're still just doing appointments only. So we're still not open.
Okay. Good deal. All right. Well, let's do this. Let's figure out can I give the big number and the drum roll at the same time? Maybe the drum roll cuts out my voice. If I turn the drum roll down and talk and then turn it back up. Our big number of the week this week is 2 billion, folks. 2 billion. Say wow.
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 And the dog says wow.
Yeah.
So our answer this week is it's Juices or Joe Rogan. Juices or Joe Rogan. Currently we got a score of 4-2 in favor of Joann.
Thanks for the reminder.
All right, go ahead and give your answer in 3, 2, 1.
Joe Rogan.
Tom's going with the Joe. Joann's going with the Juices. Have you
Didn't hear yours, Tasha.
She's muted, but did you
Oh,
get
she's muted.
I'm going with Joe. I'll go with Joe.
All right.
All right.
Some support there.
So,
Yeah.
you probably haven't seen this because it's happening in the UK. There's a public health campaign going on in the UK that says kids between the ages of 4 and 10 consume the equivalent of 5,500 sugar cubes every year.
Wow.
That's about 15 a day. Sugar cubes per day. Experts say a 5-year-old shouldn't have more than about 5 cubes per day. 19 grams of sugar. The sugar, of course, comes in the form of soft drinks and cookies and breakfast cereals, desserts, and juices. So be careful how much sugar you're intaking. It might be too much.
Yes.
That's the Juices story. The podcast story, Joe Rogan, podcast listeners, expected to grow by 45% and hit 2 billion listeners by the year 2025. 2 billion, up from 800 million in 2019. This is according to data from a firm called Omdia, O-M-D-I-A, Omdia. Spending.
Tom doesn't look so excited for winning.
She doesn't realize the
Still got more work to be done.
the pride, the bragging rights she now has. Right. Here's the big number two. That's doesn't sound as big, but it's huge. Spending on podcast advertising next year is forecast to grow 45% here in the US and will surpass $1 billion. Over $1 billion in advertising on podcasts. This is according to eMarketer. Researcher, e-marketer. Amazon is now hosting a third-party podcast so that users don't have to jump onto another app. That's new. Spotify, of course, with Joe Rogan. Spotify also has now The Ringer and Gimlet Media, their podcasts. They're using tech production Anchor. They're using advertiser Megaphone. The New York Times. They've acquired Serial Production, R-I-A-L, Serial Production. They are an audio production company. And SiriusXM owns Pandora. They've acquired the podcast player Stitcher. They're hosting the hosting service called Simplecast. Apple has acquired Scout FM. So all this stuff is going on right now in the podcast world. And it's an interesting place to be, because for years we would share something by watching TV or listening to the radio, and you knew a good majority of people were watching or listening to it at the same time. And now with podcasting and with on-demand TV watching, how many times are you actually consuming something at the same time as someone else? It's such a divested viewership and listenership now. It's just a completely different world than we were just in a few years ago. I'm not, if I sound negative or positive to it, I'm neither. I'm still kind of neutral to the whole idea. It's just, it's a different way. And because information comes at us in different speeds, if you will.
They must have muted me.
I unmuted you now, Joanne. You're okay. Because it's coming at us.
I can't hear anyhow with the dogs.
They're barking pretty loud.
Yeah, it's just one.
It's just one excited dog. But
Feed him.
you have to be careful how you address other people with information, because you don't know if they've heard it yet, and that sort of thing, or even if they've heard it at all. So careful what you believe. Vet everything. That's important, because times they are changing, and we just don't know what to expect. Anywho, any final thoughts here before we let you all go?
Question for Tasha. I saw that you wrote "Love the Ice Hog," so I know you're a hockey fan.
Absolutely.
Have you become a Nashville Predators fan since being down there?
Well, only if the Blackhawks are out of the running, then I cheer for them, because Blackhawks. So the Ice Hogs supported the Sydney Ives Foundation. We did Bowl with the Ice Hogs like every year. Sydney actually was an honorary Ice Hog, so I
remember that.
all those guys. And then so many of those guys went on to play for the Blackhawks in championship seasons, like Corey Crawford and some of those guys that we got to meet them. So, we're always Blackhawks fans, but I'll cheer the Preds on once, if the Hawks are out of the running, then we cheer on Nashville.
And I'll cheer on Nashville as well, because I don't hate them. I don't like Detroit. I can't stand the LA Kings. There are certain teams you just can't stand. Nashville, no problems whatsoever. So yeah,
they're good peeps. They're good people.
The other question is, I'm assuming you're probably a Bear fan, right?
I'm not, because for whatever reason, my husband grew up as a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, what I was going to ask is,
I get to pick. So if I pick, I'm going to cheer on the Titans.
No, right there.
All right.
Green Bay. Green Bay.
Oh no, it's definitely.
I'm so sorry.
I won't.
I have to apologize that my Packers beat your Tennessee Titans. I'm sorry.
I know. I saw that.
Yeah. Anyway, that's all I wanted to know.
I think they had a weather advantage.
I think they did. I believe so. I think they probably deflated the footballs or greased them up or something. I don't know.
I'm sure that's how it rolled.
Yeah.
There was voter fraud or something. I don't know.
Yeah, there you go.
I kind of like the Titans too. I think it's a cool team. Adelphia, which they don't call it Adelphia anymore, but the stadium is awesome.
It is.
It's very cool.
Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, maybe you can get back to it in the next year or two.
One of those teams I don't root against unless they're playing against my favorite team, the Green Bay Packers.
That's right.
Well, as always, my friends, remember, you change the world when you help one person. Be a blessing to someone today. We'll try to do the same and be back here next week. Tasha, thanks so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me. It was fun. You guys have a
You're
great
welcome.
day.
You're welcome anytime. Please, 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 when your book comes out, please come back.
I will.
And we'll do whatever we can to help
Maybe I
promote it.
could come see y'all in person in real life then.
Sweet.
That would be awesome. That would be
All
awesome.
right.
Got a Dean for us.
Have a good one. Happy New Year. I will. I'll tell him, hey.
Bye-bye.
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 Gregors, I'll see you, man.
Later, buddy.
Go. Well, no Packers this week, so whatever. I'm just going to watch about 9 hours of football today and tomorrow.
Have fun.
I will. You too. Bye-bye.